Okay, let's do it. Sunshine, are we going? All right. Hello, everybody. Wow. Welcome to Wholehearted Living with
Valerie.
Benny.
You paused, so I thought I had to say Valerie.
I know, I totally screwed up. Okay, let's do it again. Welcome to Wholehearted Living with Benny.
And Valerie.
That's not the way it's supposed to be.
I know.
You always go first.
I always say Valerie.
Okay,
first.
so welcome to Wholehearted Living with
Valerie
and Benny.
This is a podcast where one of us brings a topic and the other one doesn't know about it, and then we chat and discuss and stuff like that.
We're super articulate.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, that's really funny. But yes, the whole idea, folks, is for you to hopefully live a wholehearted life as well as get some entertainment and laugh. And yeah, so.
You know, interestingly, there's a few people that have commented on the title that they liked Living Your Best Life better.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. They just said, oh, I just think it pertains if you to live your best life, you know.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Should we change it back?
Yeah.
No, just kidding. We'll just keep going back and forth.
I'm not married to either one. We'll just go back and forth.
I
Yeah. Let's change it. You know, they changed Star Wars. It wasn't called Star Wars.
Oh.
Did you know that?
It was a Falcon something.
It was called, Jet Black Man. No.
Oh, I was like,
kidding.
wait, what?
It's
Oh,
never-
I
just
don't
made
know.
it up. I am so funny.
What was it? Was it the Falcon something?
It was always Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
I was joking.
Oh, wow.
It's
See
hilarious.
how funny you are?
That's the last podcast thing.
Yeah.
We're not doing the looking thing today.
Yeah.
So this is the point of the story where our podcast where you tell us a really funny anecdote.
Oh.
Well, that was funny.
Well, my daughter is going to go to Tokyo tomorrow.
That's my niece.
Yes. She is. It's so.
What's funny? What? I don't understand.
He said he pointed to your bathroom and said, talk about the poop.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to now.
Oh, so we really? We record
It's
this
yours.
podcast at Benny's house, and so I think we've mentioned this before. We record two every other Friday, and so in the middle of the two podcasts, I go in to use the bathroom, and I pull the toilet seat up, and I see poop in the toilet.
Oh, wait a minute. This is a great time to introduce Iggy. Hi, Iggy. Our sound guy.
Welcome, Iggy.
Welcome, Iggy.
You're just
Iggy,
trying
I'm
to get off the
wondering-
topic
I'm
that there was
wondering who
poop
did
in your
that.
toilet.
No, I'm wondering who put the poop in there, Iggy.
They did use toilet paper because toilet paper was in there too. So that's always a good sign.
That's always a good sign. Hey, why do you say that's always a good sign? Do you run into this often?
No.
Anyway, hi,
Do you
Iggy.
know why?
Thank you for keeping us in
Yeah,
sound.
thank you.
Sorry, we kind of screwed that up.
No, because it's funny. This is actually kind of funny. When sometimes we have two
And wait,
flushers.
we didn't resolve the poop thing, though,
Well,
did we?
nobody, everyone in this house said they didn't do it. So
Well,
I
I poop in there from time to time, but I know I've peed since then, so how could I have missed it?
I have no idea. How would I know?
I don't know, but you know what I think is also interesting is that you came out and announced it.
Yes! That's how close I feel to you guys. I wouldn't have done that at a
Wouldn't most
stranger's
people
house.
just
Yeah, I
flush
would have went, oh, they forgot to flush it. There's been times Peter's come home from work and said, oh, hi. There's like poop in the toilet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Because sometimes I'm in there with my phone, and if somebody calls, you're just like, oh, I don't want to flush it. You know, so you walk
you
away.
don't answer the
and then you
phone.
forgot.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, you're basically done, and you're done, and you're
done? How else do you say that?
it's the phone's ringing, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you pull up your pants, and then you answer it, but then you walk away because you're going to stand there.
Yeah.
And then you might forget.
Mute whenever I've had to do that. See, these are the techniques. Wholehearted living, folks. Okay, you hit mute on your phone, flush it, walk away.
Well, that's weird because what if you're talking?
Well, then don't hit mute. Obviously, you wait until you're not talking.
But
and
the
so you're
other thing that
listening.
happens is our toilet has a fluid flusher, and then for the poop flusher, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So it flushes harder when you actually go number two.
And harder? I don't think
it uses more water, and then the other one uses less water.
Yeah.
So you save water by just using, if you're just urinating, right?
Right.
But sometimes if you hit it, sometimes it'll go down, but maybe one little tiny poop will stay afloat. And you don't and you don't realize it. And then later you walk in and you pull this. I always have to close my toilets. I don't like them sitting open.
And we do too.
And then you open it up and you're like, oh, hi, little poop. And sometimes I take a picture and I send it to Nicole and go, look what was in my toilet.
That's like a very interesting
That
turn.
is amazing. Wow. And so what does Nicole do when she finds it? When
Oh,
she
she
gets it?
loves it because she sends me pictures of her poop too.
Oh my God. What the hell is going on here?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Especially if it's an extra long one.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Oh my God. Do you like my anecdote?
Oh, I can't believe this is happening to
Hey, it
us.
happens to everybody. We
Nobody takes pictures of their poop and sends it to their
Me and
daughter.
Nicole do.
What a crappy way to start the show.
My brother-in-law just said, what a crappy way to start the show.
Oh my God.
No.
It's getting hot in here. Let's take off all our clothes. I'm just kidding.
Okay, what I am going to tell you is that, so now I have an office because my daughter moved out, right? So they moved out. So now I have a little office, and I will tell you, I will pee more than once. I won't flush because it's like, why? I just pee, and then I know I'm going to pee again and again and again.
Well, in the office?
Yeah, just on the floor. In the toilet.
Why are you telling me about your office?
No,
I'm not
because it has its own bathroom. They're both both of our bedrooms are masters. So I just go pee in there, and then I can do that. So I have to tell you something. You know why we do Patty and I got in the habit of putting the seat down?
Because it's ugly to have it stay up?
No.
Oh. That's
no,
why
she's a liar. That is not the reason why. You know why it is because when we were first married, she would get very mad at me for not putting the seat down.
She would just pull the whole thing down.
She would say, you have to put the seat down. I wake up in the middle of the night and then I have to go pee and I sit there and there's no seat. And then I was like,
wow,
you know
that
what?
sounds just like her.
This is exactly what she would do. I actually mimicked her. I got her voice down and everything. But then, so what I said was, well, that's just not fair. So you know what? The rule is we have to put both things down every single time.
Wow,
and
it's
so
not
we got in the
fair
habit.
that you put down the seat.
Well, because she didn't have to do anything. She would just do her thing and she'd stand up, and then she didn't think that it was important to put the thingy down.
Well, in all honesty, I don't like...
Oh, I'm glad you're being honest.
I don't like... I say it's because I don't like the seat. I don't like the seat up. I mean down. I mean up. I like it
You don't
when
like
it's
the
down.
top up.
Yes, it looks like... It just looks complete.
Incomplete.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I totally agree.
But also, I remember when Coco got a little bit bigger.
Coco is
was
your
our
other son?
our very first dog.
That's
when
right.
she got a little bit bigger, people had mentioned, like, be careful if your seat's up because they will try to drink the water and then perhaps, fall in and then
Right.
drown. So I was like, oh, so I...
Coco? That dog was the size of the toilet. There's no way it was going to drown in there.
If her head went down into the thing.
Really?
If a head goes down first.
Yeah, but didn't the dog weigh 1,000 pounds? That dog would have fallen
No,
out.
she was a medium-sized
Adivina
dog.
would fall inside.
She's
there.
a medium-sized, but Adivina wouldn't be able to get in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Adivina.
So-
yeah, but for whatever. Yeah. That's
No, but
another
you're
story.
talking. I'm just thinking like your head goes down and then it. Anyway, I'm not saying that she would have drowned, but that was a concern because somebody had mentioned it, and I thought, oh, never thought about that.
Yeah.
So,
That would have been weird to come home to.
and then she
huh?
was upside down, and
She was upside down. You're like, huh?
yeah,
What's she doing?
yeah.
Hmm.
So, anyway, I digress.
Yeah, we both digressed. You brought up poop on the podcast.
Peter did. He said, "Tell him about the bathroom."
Yeah, that's true. That was actually a pretty good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
Well, okay. So anyway, now that we've bored all of our listeners, everybody poops.
It's true.
Just saying.
And-
Although my son, if you ask Dustin if women poop, he will tell you no.
Really?
Yes.
But he lives with a woman now. He knows.
He lived with us too.
Oh, that's right.
I'm a woman.
I forgot.
No, yeah, and his
And
sisters.
Kylie,
But he
that's
always
true.
says, "Oh, I don't want to know that girls go poop." I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Really?
He was fine with knowing girls had a period. He just didn't want to know they
I
go
think
poop.
what happens when you're first married, like when you're first, I still can't poop with other people around. I don't really like it. Although I'm way better in a public environment. Like I could go, because I don't mean public, like outside on the grass. I mean like if I'm at a game or something like that and I gotta go.
Oh, see, I'm opposite. That is no way I can do that.
I do what I gotta do nowadays. And I traveled enough that it's like, because there was times when I would travel for 4 days and I wouldn't go. It's like I wouldn't go until I came home when I was young, and then later it was like, okay, now I can go. But what's weird about when you first get married, it's like you really try and hide poop. You really don't want to poop in front of the person.
Peter's never been afraid to poop in front of someone.
Oh, and then when you get into marriage, it's like, wow, you just do your own thing.
I still can't. I'm seriously.
No, I still do. I can't. You know why I can't poop in front of people? Because of Inger. Do you remember Inger?
Yes, of course I remember Inger.
Inger was Valerie's friend, and we had one bathroom in our house, and I don't know how old I was, 7, something like that. Would I be that young when you knew Inger?
Could be, because I think we were elementary. I think it was probably 5th grade. I think she was 4th.
So whatever.
Yeah.
I was really young, and I already wasn't real comfortable with like pooping and peeing, but we had one bathroom. So Mom was doing her hair or whatever, and I was going to the bathroom right next to her. And in the one bathroom before the den came along, and Mom yelled for Inger, but I think she expected Inger to say yes, you know, whatever. And so then, and she yelled, and I was already like frustrated because I was like, Mom, get out so I can go to the bathroom. But then she was like, just go, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes, Inger. And then Inger comes walking around the corner, and there I am sitting on the pot. And I seriously went, oh my God. And then I slammed the door, and then I'm like crying, and I'm telling her, I can't believe it. And Inger said, I didn't even see anything. I'm like, you're so full of shit. I didn't say that. But I was like, but from that moment on, I was like, I'm not going to the bathroom ever without the door being closed and locked, and
that's funny.
Nobody can do it. And so then, it was really interesting later on in life. And then it really like marked me because I seriously couldn't go to the bathroom in public places at all. And then
I still don't. It's very interesting because I don't.
It is very interesting.
I don't.
We should journal about it.
I can't. And the Peter will say, just go. I'm like, nope, can't. I'll wait till we get home.
Yeah.
And he'll even walk in, like our bedroom door will be closed, but I'll leave the bathroom, because we have a bathroom in our bedroom, and I will leave the bathroom door slightly open. Mostly because sometimes it's hot or the dog is like kind of running in and out or whatever. But
it's good to get the
And
details.
then all of a sudden he'll like walk in and then walk over and start asking me questions. I'm looking at him like, are you going to stand here forever?
Patty stopped that 100 years ago because I said, Patty, you can't even knock on the door. Because that was another thing that would frustrate me. I'd be in the middle of a poop, and then she'd go, are you almost done? Well, not anymore. I can't poop anymore. It's over. I got to pinch it off. I'll be done in about an hour and a half. Because it's like once she talked, it's like it's over. My mind is set.
That is so weird. I wonder if Stephanie feels that same way. Because I know Peter doesn't have a problem going anywhere. He's like, when you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah. Well, now I'm a little more like that, so I can do it more.
Wow,
So.
I cannot believe this is how we open the podcast.
Yeah, this is exciting. I think we should just close the podcast.
Riveting.
Yeah.
This is the part where when I'm uploading this on YouTube, it'll be, is this video made for kids?
Exactly.
Well, as a part of Wholehearted Living, healthy bowel movements are very, very important.
Yeah, and take a photo of it and send it to somebody who you care about. Okay.
Oh, okay. Go.
So
it's your turn.
This is because I listened to a podcast, to be honest with you. But what's interesting is what we're going to talk about is stuff that we've always talked about, but it's hopefully going to have a little bit of a different bend. So I just want to know, in terms of last week we talked about having funk, having
having an off day,
and messed up. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about, let's just talk about life. Let's even talk about career, for lack of a better word. Let's talk about the future, and might not just be yours. Think about other people. But are there things that you, like, how do you know, what is it that makes someone happy, successful? What are the things what are the attributes that those people have that make it so that they can be truly successful? I'm not necessarily saying famous, because often when we think successful, we think of famous people, right? I'm just saying people that are like really happy, people that are financially set, what I mean by set is not necessarily that they're wealthy, but that they're content. They're happy. They're able to do the things they want to do. They're not thinking about money.
Well, since I'm not one of those people,
financially.
yeah, it's hard for me to tell you what is it about them that how they get there.
Well,
I think
guess. I mean, just think about.
I'm going to say goals.
Okay.
I'm going to say that they won't stop at no. Like they'll, if, you know what I mean? Like if there's a no, if there's a block in the road, they're going to figure a way around that. And, just
so kind of like you're saying problem solver.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that.
Maybe they're relational. So they're able to talk to people and like keep, what's the word? Like when you have contacts in many, many different areas so that you're able to just keep.
Oh, networked.
Network. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
I don't know what that's what you're going for.
Tell me about what are the things they're saying to themselves?
Wow, I don't know.
Yeah. What did he say?
I have no idea.
Oh, sorry. No, it's okay.
I mean, I guess, I'm just like putting myself, if I was that person, the things that they're saying of yourself is that, I guess I keep going back to like goals, like you have a goal, and I'm assuming you're talking financially. Or are you talking just in general being a whole rounded person? Like
I'm saying a whole rounded person, which would probably include being financially, when I say set, I mean, yes, there are very wealthy people, right?
Because I feel
there are
like
also people who just don't worry about money, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you're going to have if it's all encompassing, I think that sometimes some things suffer and they put other things as a priority. Like maybe their family falls to the wayside because they're so hell bent on moving further in the career.
Right.
Or the other way around, they're all about the family that they're not thinking about tomorrow. But, I don't know. I think a successful person is a person that is living life wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
I agree with you.
Yeah,
Totally.
I just think that success isn't measured by your car or the house you have or whatever.
Yeah. And this podcast isn't about that. What I really was trying to get at, and you're doing exactly what I hoped you do, because it's perfect. The thing that I think is interesting, and we talk a lot about this on this podcast, is what we're thinking, right? What we're telling ourselves and different things like that. And so what I know we've talked about this in different levels, but one of the things that I was listening to this podcast and the guy started talking about limiting beliefs.
Limited beliefs.
Did I already talk about this?
No, but I've read about it. I've heard other people talk about limiting beliefs.
Okay, well, what do you know? Because I don't want to just spout out
just
stuff.
limiting the beliefs. So like exactly how it sounds. You tell yourself, okay,
I'm not worthy.
Right. There's something in your mind where you're limiting yourself to from carrying on, to move on, to take the next step, to you hear the word no maybe, and then you go, oh well, no, I can't keep moving further with that.
Yeah.
Or there's a roadblock and say, oh, I can't.
And you know what's interesting? And I wonder about you. I wonder not about you. I wonder if for you, if this is something, I'm just thinking out loud, and I'm only bringing it up because we're trying to be candid on this podcast. You said, well, I'm not one of those people.
Right.
Is that a limiting belief?
Well, it's a fact. I'm not I'm not financially secure if that's.
Well, you're not financially.
I feel like I'm successful. If you were to ask me if you're going to take out like maybe finances or something like that, like, do you feel like you're a successful person? I would say, yeah, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I'm married to a wonderful man. I have 3 beautiful kids who are thriving. I feel like I'm successful.
Yeah. But you also are, whether you might not be where you want to be currently financially, but you do have a roof over your head, and you do have food,
right?
And you do drive nice cars,
right?
Or maybe not as nice as you want. Yeah. But it's not like every single day. I mean, because there's people who might be listening who literally are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're barely making it.
Right.
They're just barely making ends meet. And so that's a different thing, right? So, but I wonder, so I was listening to this thing and I thought, oh my gosh, I know for me, I think for the most part, I don't live according to limiting beliefs for the most part, but I do find myself occasionally saying something, cause like, for instance, one thing that I've always struggled with, I don't know if you've struggled with this. One thing I've always struggled with is talking to very wealthy, successful people. And what I mean by, I can talk to them just fine. But for some reason, I feel like I have to change a little bit of my personality, like change a little bit, like in how I talk to them, you know. I have two friends that are incredibly wealthy who I don't do that with. It's not an issue at all. But often, like, because Dad always introduced, for those, obviously you listeners don't know, but our dad was in television and knew a lot of famous people and or politicians, and we get introduced to them. But I wonder if part of it is, Dad always talked about them like, this person is this and this and this and does this and this. And I didn't know what, you know, before I met him, I probably would have been fine and just treated him like any other person. But then he would talk about him like there is, you know, they barely, you know, they don't pee the same way we do. You know what I mean? It was like they were different people. And I just always, it was just weird. Did you feel like that at all? No, not growing up.
I felt like what you're saying about Dad. Yeah. But I guess I'm going to say starstruck. Like I've never felt like that about somebody. Like if they were there, I would just walk. I'm just that person. Like and this is random. We saw Dustin Brown at Target one day.
I wouldn't have any problem with that since I have no idea who that is.
He's a Kings. I don't know if he still plays. No. He doesn't play, but he was He what?
He was their captain.
He was the captain when we ran into him at Target in Manhattan Beach one day. And I would have never recognized him.
Honestly, if he's shopping at Target, it's irrelevant.
Well, he has a really nice house in Manhattan Beach. So, but anyway, he was there with his little son, and I would have never recognized him as well, first of all, I don't follow the Kings. I follow the Red Wings. I'm not a hockey fan per se. So Peter's like, oh, there's Dustin Brown, the Kings captain or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I walked over, I go, hey, my son's name's Dustin, you know, and he's just like looking at me going, okay, let me go shopping with my kid. But it was just, so I don't feel like, I feel like I can talk I don't feel like I'm less than, if that makes sense.
I don't know that I ever felt less than, but what I think is interesting is when I was listening to this podcast, here's some of the limiting beliefs that the person said. It said, I am not worthy. I'm not blank enough. So I'm not pretty enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not cute enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not able to speak very well, you know, and people carry these beliefs. So like into whatever they're going to do. I don't deserve good things because of whatever their past is. And they're just saying, I don't deserve these things. So even when good things happen, they play it down.
Yeah.
Like they play it down like, that was like another thing. I kind of do sometimes do that. Patty, I remember when we bought our house in Missouri, did you just laugh or did you just go, cause like, was that you? No. Anyway, so in Missouri, when we lived in Missouri, we had a 3,500 square foot house with the basement, that is. It was just a huge house. It was a beautiful house. And I remember every single time somebody walked in the door, I would go, I don't know how we can afford this, you know, total God thing. And Patty would be like, why do you keep saying that? I don't understand why you keep saying that. And I think there was a part of me that just felt guilty for having such a nice house. It was weird.
I do that with certain things, and I can't think of an example, but I know Peter just does that. Reminds me, like, why do you do that? Like, I downplay stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, you know, and he's like, why do you do that?
Exactly.
Just accept it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so here's some other limiting beliefs. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough support. I don't have enough, you know, fill in the blank. I'm not smart enough. There are people that are more creative than me. I don't trust myself. I'm going to fail. So why should I even start it in the first place? These kind of things. Do you, can you think of more of these kind of things that maybe people say to themselves or maybe you've said to yourself?
No, those are all really good. I can't think of anything. Did you say that I don't have the same status? Like,
yeah,
I guess.
No,
yeah.
I didn't say that, but that's a good one. Yeah. I'm not on the same plane as those people. I'm not, or whatever, or however you want to say it. Yeah. Right. The point is that I think what I'm bringing up in regards to wholehearted living is that if we are telling ourselves those things, our brain doesn't get the fact that our brain's just going to believe it. Our brain isn't like a moral. It only knows what you give it.
Exactly.
So a few podcasts ago, didn't we talk about questions that we ask ourselves?
Right.
So it's the same thing.
Like reframing it. So that it's not,
it's like we shouldn't be asking ourselves negative questions. Ask ourselves positive questions. Well, this is another thing that I just thought was really interesting to me, because I know for me, even, you know, I'm in a new career. It's I love what I do. I love making impact on people's lives. I love it when people say, I don't do it for people to say this to me, but when I later find out and people say, oh, when you did this for me, it you know, it was a really cool thing. And I'm like, I'm kind of blown away.
Yeah. Cause you're like, oh, that was so minuscule.
Yeah. Or I think I didn't even know that I made any impact.
Yeah.
I had no idea that, you know, that hit you in any way, shape or form. And yet, like, that's what I live for. I live for that kind of a thing. And so, but there are times when I think, oh, I can't make an impact on that person, or I can't make an impact on that, or I can't make an impact. And it's kind of like...
So would you feel that way if you had like a very famous person contact you for therapy? Would you feel like, oh, I can't help them?
Well, I probably would try to help them, but I might have the thought of, am I really capable of telling this person something that they don't already know, or that, you know, am I really going to be helpful? And so, there's no question about that. I think part of that is, I honestly, I want to be careful, because it sounds like I throw in, you know, mom and dad under the bus at times, but it's like, I do feel like sometimes what we learned was there's better people than us. You know, there's people that are, there's people that are stronger, smarter, they know more, they do and then it's like, and I'm not sure mom did that as much as dad, and I don't think he intentionally did it. I think he did it to try and make us like
motivated to
go there.
Yeah.
But what it did at times for me is make me feel like, oh, I'm never gonna, you know, I don't have a degree from Princeton or from Yale or, you know, Harvard. I don't have that degree. I didn't get straight A's in high school.
You know, that's so interesting, because I think about the things that dad would say. Like, he would introduce people with their resume. You know what I mean? Like, even us, he would introduce us to people by what we accomplished or what we were accomplishing. I was always the first baseman, the straight A student. You know what I mean? And I agree with you. After getting out of it, I think that he was doing it in a way to motivate us to keep wanting to go. Well,
also say, I recognize
I'm very proud of this about him.
Exactly.
But then there was mom, who loved us. I'm not saying dad didn't love us. That sounds bad. But mom just accepted everything about us just the way we were, and made us feel like whatever we amounted to, that we were going to be, if we were happy, to use your term, we would be successful people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And success was defined largely by how big your house was. Because I remember when we would go, I remember specifically visiting Larry McCormick's house. You remember Larry McCormick's house?
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful home, and da da da. And I remember him telling us, don't touch anything. Don't do, you know, he was like, don't. And it was like, oh my gosh, you know, what's going on here? And I think Larry, on the other hand, would have been like, be a kid.
Yeah.
He would have been totally, I mean, now as an adult, I can say that. I didn't think that at the time, but he was the nicest man ever. I thought he was a super nice man. I don't mean to say that I got to know him, but I just mean,
no,
the
it
way
was
he
very,
me.
you felt very comfortable, but when going there, you expected, you know, to be walking on eggshells because you thought they were going to stand there and go, don't walk next to the, you know, dining.
Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Everything's expensive.
It was chill.
He would have been really chill. And I think there are other people who just don't they just don't live according to that. You know, they just live in a different mindset. Because I even remember, you remember that I used to take everything apart and
toasters
and I tried,
everything,
and I tried to put it back together.
Radios. Everything.
Often I could put it back together, but sometimes not so much. But what was weird, I'll never forget, I mean, this is kind of changing the subject, but one of the things that was weird for me when I got married to Patty was, if you remember, Dad didn't like touching anything. Like, he was afraid that everything was going to break. To me, it was a limiting belief. You know, later I can say this, but he was like, if you do that, and it wasn't just that the lights aren't going to work. It's the whole entire world is going to collapse.
Well, the funny thing is I know I'm interrupting you, but the funny thing is I even remember doing the light switch to play like on, off, on, off, on. And then he was like, it's going to break. Or it's not going to work anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, isn't that silly?
Totally. It's totally. Well, I remember my favorite thing ever is when we finally got a car when I was in high school, I believe, with electric windows. Because we never had
and you said,
windows.
don't put them up and down, they'll break.
Don't put them up and down, they'll break. So we just sat there and died because we couldn't roll down the windows. We weren't allowed to. Yeah. And he didn't roll them down either. It was like, you just can't do it. So, but the thing that was weird is that what happened was I go to Gary and Carla, and literally Carla would say, hey, Gary, this light's broken. And all of a sudden, Gary would go out and go buy a switch and come back and replace it.
Right.
And I was like, don't you need to call like
an
15
electrician?
Specialists? Yes. And notify the CIA that you're doing this. Okay. The whole entire
get multiple estimates.
Yes. And we probably should leave, and we probably need lead, to protect us from the death that you're going to cause us here. But the truth is that it all has to do with what's going on in our mind, right? And so I think about the fact that what was interesting for me when I was listening to this is that I think for a lot of people, even relationships, people say, they've broken their relationship. They had a relationship. It didn't go good. And then they start to say to themselves, I can't have a relationship. I can never have a relationship again. I'll never be positive. I'll never be good. I'll never, whatever it is. And what's weird is our brains simply validate whatever we tell it.
100%. I say this all the time with people, and I know you're bringing it to I say this all the time in a health and wellness. I'm never going to be able to lose the 20 pounds. Well, if you keep telling yourself that, you're not going to be able to lose those 20 pounds. You know what I mean? It's very, very, it's funny too, because I think just like a few weeks ago, we were driving through the neighborhood and I said, I think we're going to own one of these homes one day. And Peter's looking at me and I go, I'm just going to claim it and manifest it. Because if I keep telling myself, I don't know if we will, but if I keep telling myself we're never going to own a home, there's like the rinky dinkiest fixer upper is $1 million in the area that we live in. And we're never going to own. If I just keep telling myself that we're never going to own a home, you know what I mean? So I just have to start just changing it. And so everything that you're saying, when you tell yourself and you have that limiting belief, it is limiting everything about it. Yeah. Everything.
So you can think about your career, relationships, and friendships, both, because I hear people say this all the time. I'm not really good at making friends. I'm not really good at making friends. And what they really mean to say is, maybe I want to be friends with somebody who I shouldn't be friends with. They're toxic or whatever. Or maybe I just want to be friends with them because they're popular or because I think they're going to offer me something, which is probably not a great motivation for being a friend. But the point is that we really shouldn't have, if we're saying that to ourselves, then that's what you're going to manifest. It's like you're going to end up having that kind of relationship. We need to find the people who have the same belief system that we would like to have. What's interesting is if you don't change your belief system, those people are not going to want to be with you. You get what I'm saying? If you're a person who's constantly saying negative crap to yourself, then if you're trying to say, well, I want to be with positive people, but they just don't want to be around me.
Because they're positive people.
Because they're positive people. And they're like, no, I don't want to hang around people that are negative all the time. I want to be around people who are positive. So if you want to be around those people, then you do, in fact, have to flip the switch. And if you flip the switch, the next thing you know, there's a different crowd that you're going to find yourself around, different people that you're going to want to be around. And it's going to mean saying no to some people, unfortunately, and it might be painful. But
I told you in one of these podcasts where I told somebody that I work with, she's very, very negative, and I told her that she drains me and that if I have to walk away from her, I will, and I had to be completely honest with her, because she's one of those people where you just feel like the weight's on your shoulders and you're like, oh my gosh, and she keeps talking and she keeps talking. So you do have to, like you just said, there's certain things where you just have to like go, okay, well, I'm going to have to make this align. And
I have to align myself with people. Two things. with the people that I want to be like, and then I need to start being that person. And you almost have to fake it till you make it. Okay, because and I hesitate to use that phrase because for a lot of people it's like, well, that's not being authentic, and that's not, da 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 da. Well, the truth is that it's not being authentic if you have no intention of changing.
Right.
But if you do have an intention of changing and you're faking it in order for you to change, to literally, yeah, literally make that change, then I don't think that's inauthentic. Why are you laughing?
Because I know we keep bringing Peter up, but he was a very, very, I think we talked about this. He was a very negative person. He was very dogmatic. And there was, at one point he recognized that, and I would tell him, I go, wow, you're everything is negative or dogmatic or whatever. And he recognized it. And then he changed it to the point where it was almost comedy, where he was just like, and I'm looking at him going, what? I'm a positive person now, and it was, so it's kind of to your point. Yeah. He had to kind of fake it and now he's not a negative person. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, he had to change it so drastically because he had to fake it.
Yeah. And that's the key thing for me. What this has to do with this particular podcast is about the idea that it would be great if you're out there listening and we could do this. I mean, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but to think, what is one belief system that you have right now? Here's another thing I want to say about beliefs. Beliefs are not facts.
Right.
Beliefs are not facts. So why I bring that up is because some people, you're living according to a certain belief system that you absolutely believe is true, and it's not.
Yeah, it's an opinion of yourself. Yeah.
And so that means that you get the opportunity to change it. So this is not 2 + 2 = 4. A limiting belief is so, I think I've shared this in the podcast a year ago. So a long time ago, where I remember, I'll never ever forget that I was painting in Missouri. My father-in-law ordered the wrong windows, which required me to paint because he wasn't going to do it. So I had to paint the windows because they were supposed to be metal clad so that they wouldn't need to be painted ever. But he fessed up, he messed up, he ordered the wrong ones. I ended up having to paint these windows. And here's the thing. I had a belief system that said if I go to college, I get to do whatever I want. Now that was ingrained to us as, Dad said those kind of things. And I'll never forget painting the windows and being so angry. And I couldn't figure out why I was so angry. Because I don't particularly care for painting, but this was like 30 some years ago. And I seriously was so frustrated. And I remember this phrase popping up. If you get a college degree, you can do whatever you want. That is not a correct belief system. College degree does not mean that you get to do whatever you want. It's not the way it works.
Right.
I'm not telling you that a college degree is a bad thing. Okay, folks. So if you have a college degree, it's a good thing. I have a college degree. I'm getting another degree. But I think college can certainly teach you about a lot of different things. But what I am saying is that it doesn't necessarily mean that all of a sudden you're going to be able to do whatever the heck you want.
Right.
That's not the truth.
Right.
So I had a belief system that said this, and it was causing me frustration as I was painting.
Because you're painting.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute. It's okay that I'm painting.
Right.
I'm making ends meet right now.
Right.
I'm doing what I can. This is a journey, this is more of a marathon than it is just a sprint. And so, I and obviously I've gone through many iterations in my life of what I've done and what I'm doing now. But all I can say is that changing that belief system changed my opinion of painting. And it was immediate. Once I realized that this was happening, I was able to change it on the spot.
Right.
And I'm still not a big fan of painting, quite frankly, but it changed my attitude at that moment.
Right, exactly.
What we do with our mind is that there's a lot of things that you probably believe as fact. You think this is absolute 100% fact, and it's probably not. It's probably a belief that you have.
Right.
And you can change that belief and live according to a new belief system that leads you to the goals that you hope to achieve.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that there's people out there that are right now recognizing what are your belief systems. For instance, if I were to ask you what your belief systems are and you say, oh, I got 2 or 3 of them. No, you don't. You have 20 or 30 of them. I guarantee you have 20 or 30 of them. Now you might say, you know what, I want to keep a lot of those. Well, then that's fine. That's your choice. But if they're not leading you to the goals that you hope to achieve, then you need to shift them.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Thank you. I liked it.
Oh, good. Then change. Just kidding. Folks, we are at wholehearted_living_podcast and at Instagram. And so say follow. We would love to have you follow us. Iggy, thank you so much for keeping us in sound.
Iggy, I hope you didn't fall asleep.
No.
Oh, you guys are watching the game. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. The Dodgers are playing. We're going to turn this off. And we're going to watch the Dodgers. All right. So, folks, we're very glad that you're with us. And so please follow us. Please follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. And follow us on Instagram. That would be great.
Yes. And thank you for being here. And we'll chat soon. Bye.
Ciao.
Okay.